Hey everybody, Josh, living life alcohol free, back at you with another video today. It's Wednesday. How's your week going? Hope everybody's doing well. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you taking your time out of your day to check in here. Sobriety is so important. It's important to keep in mind, if we're not sober yet, that living alcohol free is a goal. It's the best thing that I ever did for myself. And I want to share with you a little bit of a secret on why and how I was able to stay sober and stay in my mental space and keep the clarity that I needed in order to get alcohol free and stay that way. I was watching a video last night. Somebody that I watched that I learned a lot from on YouTube, Rob the Maritimer. And if you're checking out this video, thanks so much, Rob, for your input. He was talking about, and he does mainly videos on helping people out over 40 that are getting started on YouTube. And I've taken a lot of value out of his videos. And he talked about yesterday one of his videos that kind of exploded because a lot of people resonated with it. And it was, don't tell your friends and family about your YouTube channel. And I thought, well, how can I kind of use that into my channel? And I thought, well, maybe I can talk about how I gained success at staying sober because I didn't share it with everybody. I was too scared anyway to share it with people for the most part, but there were times in my early days and then into my years of sobriety that I thought about bringing it up to certain people, but I didn't. But I thought, this is an important topic. His main purpose in that video was to basically just share that if you share your YouTube channel with your friends, your family, people that are outside of YouTube, they're not really interested in your material. They're just getting on there to check out what you're up to, and they want to judge you. They want to, just see what your channel's all about. They click on there. It's not necessarily something that's for them or that they're even interested in. They're just interested in checking out you and judging you and that kind of thing. And then they might watch it for a couple minutes, click off, and then it kind of screws up the whole YouTube algorithm. So I thought, I could kind of compare that to what it was like in the early days of my sobriety when not telling people about my sobriety was actually a benefit. That's not to say that uh, that not sharing it with certain people doesn't have its benefits, because it does. I mean, I obviously the people that we live with, they're going to know. But outside of that, I think it's important to just keep that under wraps. And I used to think I would jinx it if I brought it up. So that's really what and not just jinx it, but like bring on more anxiety for myself. Like feel like I have to explain myself, feel like people are judging me because of it. Like he must have a real problem if he's quitting. Um, but so the other point I wanted to make about Rob's videos was that his intention was just to share that part of it. It's just that it's not, a benefit to share that. Post your video, let YouTube do the work, and let YouTube find your audience for you. It's better not to try to artificially manufacture, you know, subscribers and followers and watchers and viewers by sharing it with people outside of YouTube, like on Facebook friends or friends in real life, family in person, and things like that. Because, like I said, like he said, it's gonna kind of mess up the whole YouTube algorithm, and they're not the audience anyway. They're not your audience anyway, for the most part. I think it probably depends on your niche, but being that this is sobriety here for me and for us, I'm going to try to compare that. But what happened was, and it made me laugh. He said, but unintentionally, it made people blame their friends and family for their lack of success on their YouTube channel. And and I thought that was funny because he just said that wasn't the intention, but now he's got all these people blaming their friends and family for their failures or their lack of success on their channel. But I mean that's funny, but in reality it's really not. That's not the truth. The truth of the matter is this just takes time to build up. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in the first few weeks. Yes, there's outliers. I've seen probably a half a dozen or a dozen over the year and a half or so that I've been doing this, that their videos kind of went viral like right away. And I thought, man, how did that happen? And I think it shows up on our feed, and then the ones with the most views show up on our feed. So I think that there's, it's kind of misleading. It's not like we're getting the ones that have a low view count, like 10 or 20, on our show up on our feed. So I think that's misleading. It's not the truth. The truth is maybe like one out of 1,000 might blow up right away. And then some of those people that are on there that blew up right away, they're talking about really volatile stuff. So there were a few that I watched early on, and I'd watch for a couple months, and then they'd be gone. And it wasn't really like it was sustainable for them. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was something that they wanted to do. It wasn't like their passion. So they kind of faded away, and then never to be heard from again on YouTube. So it's kind of interesting. But to the point of this video, it is just the simple fact is that when I was quitting, or when I tried to quit over those 27 years that I drank, I did it, and I did it trying to do it by myself, without a group, without sharing my thoughts, my feelings with people like a therapist, or with a close friend or a family member, or anybody for that matter. So I was trying to do it cold turkey, trying to quit without any help at all. And some of that's pride. Some of that's, we can do it on our own. We don't need help. But some of that is just lack of knowledge about like what it really takes to quit alcohol, to stay off alcohol, to start to flourish in our life and actually thrive in our recovery. So there's a lot of you that are wanting to get alcohol free. There's a lot of you that are thinking about getting alcohol free. There's half of you or so that are actually alcohol free, but you're on here and there's a reason that you're watching my videos. There's a reason that you're staying connected on the communities, on my YouTube channel, on my Facebook group. And for me, I think it's just because we know that that's what it takes to succeed in this. I think we know that that's a massive, massive tool. It's like the main tool to stay sober, to stay alcohol free, is to have a community or multiple communities of like minded people that we can go to when we need to talk about how we feel, our urges to drink, just if we're having a bad day. And even if, I mean, not every day is difficult, so we might be having a great day and we want to share that with other people too. And just having that encouragement, having those friendships, and having those lasting um, people in our sobriety that understand what it's like to go through this, to have that is like the biggest tool there is. And that's kind of a little known secret to a lot of people that are addicted, I feel like, because in my experience, like I said, I was trying to do it alone. I really didn't know what it was going to take to stop drinking and be done with it. So my heart really never was in it. Like if I knew what I knew when I quit early on, obviously, I would have used those tools. and been able to do that. But I think there was a reason why I went through all those years of struggle, and then I would just ultimately relent to the alcohol and just say, you know what, I'm all in. I'm all in again. And then do that for another couple of years until you start to say again, I have a problem with this. I'm having issues with it and I want to be done with it. And then you start thinking about, that again, but then we don't have the tools and the resources to be able to do it. So we might go another week or two without alcohol. And for me, that was typically because I overdrank too much. I said or did something that I totally regretted. I hated my behavior. I hated how I felt. And I would just stop drinking for 4, 5, 6 days, like 7 days, sometimes a week or 8 days. But typically it was just because I didn't feel good and I just needed a reset. It wasn't because I was trying to quit for real and be done. So, but when I quit, it was during the pandemic. And as you guys know, I did my live the other day. I had my birthday yesterday. It was my sixth sober birthday. I celebrated 5 years alcohol free last April. So going into fall, we're going to be doing a Burr Months challenge on my sobriety group, Sobriety in the Storm on Facebook. I'll pin the link in the comments below for that group. If you're wanting to get sober, please put down in the comments below where you're at with your journey. Um, if you're not alcohol free, but you're curious about it, if you want to get alcohol free, or if you are alcohol free. But the Burr Months Challenge is something that I came up with last year because fall time is always my favorite time of year. It's got cooler weather. The leaves are falling. We got football starting. We got cider mills going. We got Halloween coming up. We've got, just the hiking for me is awesome in the fall. I have a trip planned during peak color change season here in Michigan, and I'm going to be going up and taking a trip around um, just up north Michigan and just checking that out. And I'm looking forward to that. And I talked about that in my last video, how for me, one of the things that has really enhanced my sobriety in the last couple of years is planning something that I haven't done before, and maybe a couple months out, maybe it's a night stay or maybe it's a day trip, but doing something every couple months that I have to look forward to that I haven't done before, that I always kind of wanted to do when I was drinking, but just really never took the time to do it. I just would rather just sit and drink. And so that's something that I'm looking forward to. But the Burr months, so September, October, November, December, and I really just feel like if we can get through those 121 days alcohol free, um, I think it's 121 days. It was last year. I think so. Would it be the same this year? Yeah, September 1st through December 31st. And if I counted it up again, I think it was 121, but I'd have to check that again. But we got a couple weeks. Well, we got a week now. So yeah, we're already getting close to September. But at any rate, it was because I always felt like fall was my most triggering time to drink. It was the time when I had the most fear of missing out, FOMO. And I had somebody mention on one of my comments yesterday talking about FOMO. And thank you for making that comment, by the way. And I won't call out by name, but he passes a pub. He's been 9 months alcohol free, and you probably know who you are if you are 9 months. But he passes a pub, and he still has FOMO when he passes that pub, kind of like a longing to be in there drinking with everybody. And I can relate, especially in that first year. It's like, it took me a couple years even before I started taking a route that I typically would take home from work or to work, because I didn't want to pass this brewery that I used to go to, because I'd, maybe it would trigger something. Maybe it would make me feel like I was missing out. So I relate with that. And um, now I pass it. And now I look at that and I see sometimes, like on a night or weekend, I see a full parking lot. And I think, man, not that I feel bad for them that are in there, because not everybody has a problem with alcohol. I would say, statistics might say that 7 out of 10 of those people don't have an issue with alcohol or something along those lines. Maybe the exact stats, but not to get bogged down into stats or anything like that. Who knows if people are being honest about how much they're drinking? Maybe they're only having a couple, going home and then drinking a case. We don't know. That would have been me. That was me, because I didn't want to get behind the wheel and be too buzzed to go home. So, but I would drive home, and then I'd go home, and that's when my real drinking would start. But being that was fall coming up, and I thought, man, I've had like 4 falls already, and I've had people making comments, parents making comments out trick or treating, like you need a drink. And I was going to bring that up in the last video, and I never did. But it was the story of, it was like this. It was like the second Halloween after COVID, and we did like the end of the driveways. We all had tables at the end of our driveways for the COVID Halloween in 2020. And in 2021 we did it again. And I remember going around the block, and I remember hearing parents saying, so and so has jello shots, but be careful, you're warned, they're strong. And I thought, oh man, this will be a test. I don't really share my sobriety with people. I just haven't. I never really had the need to. I didn't really. There were a few people that I shared it with, like I said, people at my home. But outside of that, a couple of close, my best friend, and then my wife's best friend and her husband. Those are really the only people I shared my sobriety with in that first year. But yeah, we got to that house. The one guy, he said, "Here's a gel. You want a Jello shot?" And I said, "No, I'm good." He said, "You don't look good. You look like you need one of these." And I was like, you know. And I don't think I replied, but I kept on walking, and it was like one of the last houses back before our house. And so we only had another like 2-minute walk back to the house. But I was thinking the whole time, like, man, that's so annoying. It's funny, when we're in that drinking. Clearly, they're in that party phase. They're probably still in their 30s. Um, I think I was still, no, I was in my 40s. Yeah, I quit when I was 42. So yeah, I was like 43, and I was at that age. Like my dad, my biological father, he quit when he was 42, and I learned that a few years prior to that occasion when I quit drinking, that he was 42 as well when he quit. And I don't know if it just happened by happenstance, or it was our bodies are similar, and it just had a harder time breaking down the alcohol, or what the deal was. But that's when I quit. Same time, same age. Um, but I thought, that's interesting. I could have shared my sobriety with that couple, or I just don't drink. Say I don't drink, but I didn't feel the need to. I didn't really care um, at that point. But there was something in the back of my mind that I was thinking, it would be nice to just share that and not be self conscious about it, wouldn't it? But I learned over the next however many months and years since then that it really doesn't matter. I don't need to share my sobriety with people. I mean, I share it with you guys. I share it with my Facebook group. You guys on there. I shared it with This Naked Mind for 4 years. I was on that group, and it's a group that I got from the book This Naked Mind by Annie Grace, which really helped me out in my recovery. I made friends. We had Zoom meetings every week. We had dialogue every day on that community. We would just post and we'd get 10, 20, 30 comments on there. Just a lot of camaraderie, a lot of like minded people. Um, but those are the people that we should be leaning on. Those are the people we should be relying on and really caring about what they think. You know what I mean? Like those, because those are the people that really get it. We're the ones that really get it. The people in our day to day life, our friends and our family that don't live with us, they don't know. Now those that live with us, yeah, they know us. They see us every day. They know our tendencies, our behaviors. They've known our drinking all of our life or however long it's been. If it's our kids, if it's our spouse, whoever it is, they know us. So that's that's different. But in regards to sharing it with other people, friends and family, I just don't think that it's important. A lot of us we would be worried that we'd be going to a party and we'd be offered a drink, and what would we say? And you know, over the years, especially for the first year or two, I did worry about that. I don't go to parties often. It's usually small get-togethers with like my in-laws or like my mom um or friends that I know that my wife and I know. It, so it's kind of they're like intimate settings. They're not that big of a deal. I didn't have like a huge um setting that I was really, really concerned about until I was actually standing up in a wedding. And I don't think I ever even stood up in a wedding. So I was kind of like, man, am I going to be expected to like do a champagne toast? Am I going to be expected to, explain my sobriety now? And it got to a point where it was like, no, I didn't. I just say no, thank you, or I toast with a glass of water or pop or whatever, and nobody really questions that. I think I did have one. My mother-in-law did ask me uh, if I wanted some champagne, and that was for the engagement, and I was like, no thank you. And I just kept walking, and she kind of I felt like she kind of just stood there like, he doesn't want a glass of champagne, like maybe offended, you know. But I didn't feel the need to explain anything, and I didn't. So I just kind of moved on. But yeah, so the challenge, and I came up with the challenge last year because we homeschooled our daughter from the pandemic all the way through fourth grade. She went back into in person. She was going back to in person school in fifth grade last year, and I was a little nervous. I was really nervous, actually. I was like, I was just kind of like, we've all been in our little bubble at home, um, homeschooling her, and now this, and on top of that, people are drinking cider, people are drinking spiced, rum drinks and things like that for Halloween, witch's brew, all these things, and some people might bring it over to our house. I've had a couple occasions like that where people were drinking in our house, and those moments were kind of triggering for me. And a couple times they were FOMO. A couple times they started to become a little bit more irritating than fear of missing out. It was more like I was just like, asking my wife, like, I'm just kind of irritated that they leave that stuff sitting out there, and I don't blame her. Um, but I was like, it's like these. I don't know. People, if they know that we're sober, it seems to me like it would be common courtesy to not leave a bottle of Bacardi laying or sitting on your kitchen counter, or bring over a bottle of wine, open it up, have some, and just leave it sit there. It just, I don't know, it just didn't sit with me. So it became more of like an irritation than a missing out kind of a thing. Um, but yeah, this video is just kind of about, you know, what our superstitions can be if we feel like I said early on, I kind of felt like not only was I going to jinx my sobriety if I shared with other people, but I think it would just make me feel nervous or self-conscious, which would add anxiety, which would add, worry. Uh, and I don't need that. We don't need any more of that while we're just trying to not drink. So if you're new, if you want to get sober, and you are looking to get sober, my best suggestion is to, because 121 days is not, it's not easy, but I came up with that Burr months challenge for various reasons. I was anxious. I was about my daughter. I was having fear that I was going to have FOMO for the holidays, for the fall time, and then you have Thanksgiving and Christmas, and all the stuff that comes around that. People are drinking, and I just, uh, football promotes like drinking, and college football, pro football, sports in general, but uh, all that. And then if you're going to sporting events and things like that, and everybody's drinking, it's just a cascading effect, and it's like alcohol is everywhere, and it feels like to me like it's everywhere in the fall time and the holiday time more than like the summer or winter, because winter I'm just kind of in my home, in that bubble. And I do like winter. I've become a winter person because of my sobriety. I think I enjoy being at home in the wintertime, just cozy, having hot tea, having hot coffee, and getting under the covers, watching movies and shows and reading, and that brings me joy. And then getting outside and hiking in the snowy forest, or just going around the block or whatever, and then coming back and warming up next to the fire is something that I really look forward to now in the wintertime. So, and then summer, we're out at the lake, we're out at hiking or at the parks and things like that. And we're not like really around much drinking. And if we're at like a 4th of July party or like Labor Day or Memorial Day, it's whatever. I don't really hang out with the people that are drinking, especially if they're sitting there talking about drinking. I just kind of like, you know, internally roll my eyes and walk away. Um, yes, I have brought up my sobriety to some people. For my work, I drive public transportation, and I actually drive some people to AA meetings, recovery meetings, celebrate recovery, and I open up to them about my recovery a little bit, because I feel like I can be encouraging to them. They can share things with me and ask me questions, things like that. I have had family members. I had a couple family members talking about their not drinking as much anymore, being more aware of the downfalls of alcohol, and actually talking about being alcohol free. And I threw out there that, hey, there's some non-alcoholic beers out there that taste exactly like the regular alcohol beers. There's some wines I've discovered over the last few months. I actually made a video about that maybe 6 months ago. Um, I tried. So I just tried some wine and some different NA beers. I haven't tried any of the NA like liquor. But those things, it tastes the same, and you get the feel. You have one or two and you don't really want any more, and it leads me to believe that it was always the alcohol that we were craving. So I shared that, and I felt good about that, and I felt happy because I thought that one or two of these individuals and my family members might have had kind of an issue with drinking, but it turns out that they were questioning alcohol too, and they were taking time to away from drinking at these occasions, and that really made me feel good about it for them. And so So that's all I got for you guys today. Whatever you feel comfortable with, I say do. That's really the key thing. Take care of yourself. Don't add on any extra anxiety that is going to jeopardize your being alcohol free, your recovery, wherever you are. I wasn't really on stable grounds until a few years into my recovery. I mean, I the urges to drink kind of started to go away after about 90 days. They got better, but I still romanticized drinking. They became more of fleeting thoughts over the next couple years after that. So around year 2 to 3, they became more like fleeting. There was times when, like I said, I drive for my work. So if I was on long stretches by myself or even with someone in there and it was quiet, if I was driving for 30 minutes in the country, I would start to, whatever I was listening to or whatever, I would start having these thoughts of when I was younger, when I was drinking, and it was annoying. I didn't know why I had those when I was like idle. My mind was kind of idle, but it was annoying. But like I said, after a few years, those thoughts kind of start to dissipate. At least that's what it was like for me. And to the point now where I'm 5 to 6 years alcohol free, and the thoughts are fleeting. If they enter my mind at all, I quickly put it to rest because I know that I alcohol ran its course for me. I drank so much over my lifetime that I just didn't want it anymore. I didn't need it, it turned out. And life is so much better without alcohol. Waking up in the morning is rewarding. It's rejuvenating. I'm ready for the day, not groggy and hungover and feeling like crap. I'm not anticipating a drinking session, preoccupied by alcohol, thoughts of drinking all day till I get to that alcohol session. So we're not preoccupied with alcohol and stuck in addiction when we actively get out of it, find a better way, find things that bring us joy, find things that we're passionate about, look for ourselves again, find ourselves again. And that's what this is all about. Community, talking back and forth with everybody. That's what it's all about. Like minded people that get it, that totally get it, and you guys get it. So, if you found value in this video, please like and subscribe. Come along with me on this journey. You can get a membership. I found that if you subscribe, there is a join button, and then it shows you the actual breakdown of the 3 memberships that I have on there now. I'll be doing some members only live streams. I'll be doing some members only videos, some members only shorts. And then we got like super chats and super thanks and all these other things that you can support the channel with. I'm gonna keep on doing this. I love doing this, and that's what I got today for you guys. So please like and subscribe. Come along on this journey. Like I said, I'll pin my Facebook group. It's a private group. The link down below, Sobriety in the Storm. I created it just so we'd have a separate space aside from YouTube where it's private. This is public. If you're not comfortable sharing on here, you can go there and join anytime. So thank you all for being here, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great sober day.